For half the price of the main game, the Fire Emblem Engage expansion pass adds new characters, maps, missions, emblems, and story content. In my review of the main game, I described Fire Emblem Engage as a greatest hits of the Fire Emblem series, with good gameplay but poor story. Unfortunately, this extends to the expansion pass, which I found underwhelming and ultimately disappointing. Still, there was a lot of good to be found in the DLC too. In this review, I'll detail the good and the bad without spoiling the game, and by the end, you'll know if it's worth dropping $30 on. With that out of the way, let's get started. There are 4 waves of DLC, with the first 3 as side missions in which you can recruit extra emblems, and the 4th wave is a new side story. I found the battles in the first 3 waves to be quite fun, with a mixture of new map gimmicks and challenging battles. It's an extension of the already great turn-based battles of the main game, and Engage's excellent refinement of the Fire Emblem formula extends here. The unlockable emblems bring a lot of variety and can be used in the main game after recruitment. As for who the emblems are, your mileage may vary on who was selected. While it's logical that the 3 house leaders from 3 houses are here, as well as Chrom and Robin from Awakening, I felt nothing for characters like Hector from The Binding Blade or Soren from Path of Radiance. And personally, I wouldn't have selected Camilla from Fates over someone like Ryoma. Anyway, much like Super Smash Bros., you can't satisfy everyone with who gets in, and while the variety is good, I feel like the choices could have been better. As an example, I would have liked to have seen Shez from the underrated Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I'm curious to hear what emblems you guys would have liked, so please let me know down below in the comments. The 4th wave, the Fel Xenologue story expansion, can only be described as a hot mess. Our protagonist Aelia, the Divine Dragon, is summoned to an alternate dimension, in which that dimension's Aelia was killed and the world fell to darkness. Meeting a pair of Fel Dragon twins, he's recruited to collect the 7 DLC emblem bracelets from a mysterious enemy faction. Minor spoilers, but in this world, our heroic units have become evil and bloodthirsty. A good example is Alchrist, who is cowardly and forever apologizing in the main game, but is now violent and spiteful. Conversely, in this world, the villainous 4 hounds are now virtuous and heroic, reborn as the 4 winds. While Gris in the main game is insane and addicted to pain, he's reborn as Gregory, polite and afraid of pain. While it's amusing to see familiar characters playing against type, that's all it is. Amusing. The Fel Xenologue side story is just that. A side story that has no bearing on the events of the main game. Following in the tradition of previous game Xenologues, it's an amusing distraction, but certainly not necessary to understand or improve the story of the main game. In my Engage review, I said I thought the story was nothing special anyway, so there's not much to improve on. Story-wise, Engage feels like an episodic anime, and using that comparison, the Fel Xenologue is like a special arc. Emotionally, expect more of the same from the main game. It's far from mind-blowing. Gameplay-wise, I found the Fel Xenologue a little bit dull. Cutscenes between battles are insanely long, as are the battles themselves. While some battles have fun gimmicks, like having to kill 2 leaders of 2 warring factions, meaning you're one of 3 factions involved in battle. I loved that one. But in another battle, in which a major unit is trapped while other units must make their way towards them, I managed to break the game and make the battle unwinnable. Equipping Celica to said unit and warping them out, the enemy AI went insane and cornered me with infinitely spawning units. While I'm sure this won't happen to most players, by interrupting the game designer's intended battle flow with unique strategy, I was punished for my creativity rather than rewarded. That killed my enthusiasm as I had to start over and do the battle in the intended way. While I don't mind long battles in Fire Emblem, I understand they're not for everyone. Unfortunately, the quality of these long battles is not that high. Technically, the expansion pass succeeds almost as much as the main game. Voice work is similarly outstanding, as is the music. Hearing even more familiar motifs integrated into bombastic orchestrated pieces is an absolute treat for fans of the series. Unfortunately, there are no fully animated cutscenes in the Fel Xenologue, which is a huge disappointment. There are some still drawings in key moments, as is series tradition, but that's all there is. Having the Fel Xenologue bookended by animated cutscenes should be an expectation, considering it's a full-priced expansion pass. Considering how quickly all the DLC was released after the main game, not even 3 months later, I feel Nintendo and Intelligent Systems speedran the DLC so they could move on to something else. I wouldn't have minded waiting a couple more months for a bit more sheen. I sense more Fire Emblem is on the way very soon. As a Fire Emblem stan, I'm more than okay okay with that, but I still believe quality is more important than quantity, so Engage's DLC's lack of polish in certain areas is definitely disappointing. So, is it worth $30? My opinion is that it isn't. For me, there's just not enough here. While you do get more characters and emblems to use in the main game is already so full of characters and emblems, so you'll have even more unit management to deal with. And I've already finished the main game, and I certainly don't feel like starting a new save, so I'll never get the chance to use the new emblems or characters in the main game anyway. And finally, comparing this DLC expansion to Three Houses' DLC expansion, the latter's was so much denser and more satisfying to me. To sum up, it's just okay DLC for a just okay Fire Emblem game. Engage is a stopgap between Three Houses and whatever comes next. Three Houses' shadow looms large over Engage, which Engage simply cannot escape from. If the next Fire Emblem game is better than Engage, then Engage's place as one of the series' least interesting installments will be forever cemented. I don't hate Engage, nor do I love it. It is simply a decent, but not amazing Fire Emblem game. So, have you played the DLC? Do you think the DLC was worth $30? Let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you. If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe for more game reviews. And if you play Fire Emblem, you're probably interested in Japanese culture, so check out my other channel, Open World Japan, in which I take you on adventures across Japan itself. So thanks for listening to me ramble, have a good one, and I'll see you real soon.